The Unfair Advantage, by Ali and Hasan Kubba. Introduction. Have you ever looked at someone incredibly successful and thought to yourself, how did they do that? Maybe it was a young billionaire on the cover of a magazine, or a classmate who just seemed to have everything figured out. And maybe, just maybe, you heard the same old advice: just work harder. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. If you want it badly enough, you'll make it. It sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds fair. But what if it's not the whole truth? What if it's the biggest lie we're told about success? I want to tell you a story about a young man named Evan Spiegel. You probably know him as the co-founder of Snapchat. By the time he was 24, he was the world's youngest self-made billionaire. An incredible achievement. The media hailed him as a testament to the power of a great idea and hard work. But Evan himself said something that most people missed. He said, and I quote, "I am a young, white, educated male. I got really, really lucky. And life isn't fair. Life isn't fair." What did he mean by that? Well, Evan grew up in a multi-million-dollar home in Los Angeles. His parents were powerful lawyers. He went to an expensive private school attended by future Hollywood stars and other tech founders. Through his family, he met the former CEO of Google and the founder of YouTube before he even had a real business. He had the best tutors, the best connections, and a world-class education at Stanford. He didn't just climb the ladder of success, he took a rocket ship. Now, it's easy to hear a story like that and feel discouraged. To think, well, if that's what it takes, what chance do I have? But that's not what this is about. Because today, we're going to explore a different path. A more honest one. We're diving deep into a book called The Unfair Advantage, written by two entrepreneurs, Ali and Hasan Kubba, who started from backgrounds very different from Evan Spiegel's. Ash grew up poor in a crime-ridden part of Birmingham, UK, and became the first marketing director for a company that would later be valued at over £5 billion. Hasan describes himself as an unnatural entrepreneur who had to learn everything from scratch. This book has become a quiet phenomenon, a sort of secret handshake among a new generation of founders, because it tears down the myth of meritocracy and replaces it with something far more powerful. A practical framework for identifying the unique advantages you already have, no matter where you're starting from. So, here is my promise to you. By the end of our time together, you will no longer look at your own life and see what you lack. Instead, you will see a unique set of strengths, circumstances, and assets, your own personal unfair advantages, that you can leverage to succeed. You will understand that the world isn't a level playing field, and that, my friend, can be your greatest strength. Let's begin. Book summary. So, if success isn't just about working harder, what is it about? The authors of The Unfair Advantage argue that it's about working smarter, and working smarter begins with a brutally honest look at reality. The reality is that life is unfair. We're bombarded with stories of meritocracy, the idea that those who deserve to get rich. That if we just hustle like Elon Musk or wake up at 4 a.m., like the gurus tell us to, we'll achieve our dreams. The authors call this, quite frankly, bullshit. They've seen countless hard-working, passionate founders fail. Why? Because success isn't awarded to the hardest workers. It's awarded to those who develop and use their unfair advantages. So what is an unfair advantage? It's not about anything illegal or unethical. An unfair advantage is a condition, an asset, or a circumstance that puts you in a favorable position. The authors use a simple analogy from sports. Being tall is a significant unfair advantage in basketball. A shorter player can work incredibly hard, but they will always be at a disadvantage. It doesn't mean a short player can't become a professional, but it makes it much less likely. Business isn't a physical sport. but similar rules apply. The key, however, is that these advantages aren't just about being born rich or privileged. They can be found in anyone's life. And that is the central, empowering message of this entire book. Your unique set of unfair advantages can't be easily copied or bought by someone else. They are yours alone. To prove this point, the authors share their own deeply personal stories, which are a world away from the rocket ship journey of Evan Spiegel. Take Ash Ali. He grew up in a poor, immigrant family in a rough neighborhood of Birmingham. No one in his family was an entrepreneur. He dropped out of college? Twice? Not from Harvard, but from his local sixth form college at age 17. By all conventional measures, he was on a path to nowhere. He ended up working a retail job at an office supply store called Staples. But here, a few small, seemingly random advantages started to align. At Staples, he was surrounded by computers and books about the internet, just as the dot-com boom was beginning. He became obsessed. While his friends were at university, Ash spent his nights in his parents' attic, teaching himself to code from the books he read in the aisles after work. Then came another piece of luck. A friend's parents owned a shoe warehouse. Together, they had the wild idea to build a website to sell the shoes online. This was 1998. Amazon had just entered the UK selling only books. Everyone told them nobody would buy shoes online. But they were too young and too naive to listen. This little project, built in an attic on a cheap computer, got nominated for an Internet Award. Suddenly, companies in London were calling him, wanting to hire this self-taught kid who somehow understood this new internet thing. Ash moved to London with nothing but a rucksack and was hired on the spot. He was a teenager managing people in their 20s and 30s, feeling a classic case of imposter syndrome. He felt like he didn't belong. Then, the dot-com bubble burst. He was made redundant and had to move back home, feeling like a complete failure. But in that failure, he had an epiphany. He realized his success hadn't just been about hard work. It was luck. It was the luck of working at Staples, the luck of his friend's family business, the luck of being in the right place at the right time to gain a rare and valuable skill. He realized his expertise itself was his unfair advantage. This realization changed everything. He rebuilt his career, eventually becoming the first marketing director for a tiny Danish startup trying to break into the UK market. The idea sounded silly to his colleagues, an online takeaway website. That startup was Just Eat. Years later, it went public with a valuation of £1.5 billion, giving Ash true financial freedom. His co-author, Hasan Kubba, has a different story. He calls himself an unnatural entrepreneur. He didn't have money-making schemes as a kid. Born in Baghdad, his family moved to London when he was young. He was a smart kid, on track to fulfill his immigrant parents' dream of him becoming a doctor. But he dropped out of university because his heart wasn't in it. He didn't know what he wanted to do. After getting an economics degree, he felt lost. He didn't want to be a banker. He was living at home, feeling the pressure to get a job. One day, he saw an ad for an online course on how to start a business. It was expensive, a few $1,000s, but he took the risk. He wanted to earn passive income and have the freedom to be his own boss. But fear and perfectionism took over. He was too afraid to launch his business. So, he got a sales job instead, just to learn the skills he knew he lacked. It was there, watching working-class kids with the gift of the gab close deals, that he learned about a different kind of intelligence, social and emotional intelligence. That was their unfair advantage. Armed with this new skill, he finally quit his job and, with the help of an accountability partner, landed his first client. It took him 2 years of growth scrapping, as he calls it, to build a profitable digital marketing agency that allowed him to travel the world. It wasn't until he was on a beach in Indonesia that he had his own epiphany, much like Ash's. He saw a little girl in the Philippines begging for a sip of his bottled water, and it broke his heart. In that moment, he understood his own unfair advantages, the luck of his parents moving to London, the stability of his upbringing, the education he received, the money he had to invest in that first course, the family connections that led to his first clients. He realized it wasn't just him. So much of his success was because he had been set up for it. These two stories are the heart of the book. They show us that unfair advantages aren't just for the Evan Spiegels of the world. They can be born from struggle, from being an outsider, from being unnatural. The key is not whether you have them, but whether you can see them. And to help us see them, the authors created a powerful tool they call the MILES framework. MILES is an acronym that stands for the 5 categories of unfair advantages: money, intelligence and insight, location and luck, education and expertise, and status. And all of these are built on a foundation of one crucial element: mindset. Let's start with that foundation, because it's the one thing you have the most control over. M is for mindset. The authors argue that your mindset is the soil from which all your advantages grow. But they offer a twist on the popular growth mindset idea from psychologist Carol Dweck. A growth mindset is the belief that you can improve your abilities through effort. I can't do this. Yet, it's incredibly powerful. But the authors say it's not enough. You can't just say, "I'm not a trillionaire." Yet, that ignores reality. So, they propose a reality growth mindset. This is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in your head at the same time. First, you must accept the hard limits of reality. Life is unfair. Luck exists, and some people start with massive advantages. You must accept this without becoming a victim. Second, you must also believe that you are the master of your own future. You can achieve incredible things through effort and strategy. It's about having your feet rooted on the ground, while your head is in the clouds. It's the balance between self-awareness and self-belief. This mindset allows you to set ambitious but achievable goals. Instead of aiming to be on the cover of Forbes tomorrow, you aim to create a company that makes its first real profit. This realistic, grounded ambition is the starting point for everything. With that foundation in place, let's build the pillars of the MILES framework. The first M is for money. This is the most obvious unfair advantage. As the old proverb says, it takes money to make money. Money provides a safety net. It allows you to take risks. In the startup world, money gives you a longer runway, the time you have before your business runs out of cash. Ewan Blair, son of the former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, started a tech company. In its first year, it made a loss of around £400,000. But luckily, he received an interest-free capital contribution of almost £600,000 that saved the business. The source was unnamed, but it highlights the power of the bank of mom and dad. But here's the double-edged sword: not having money can also be an advantage. Ali didn't have money, so he had to be all in. He had nothing to lose. That made him hungry, creative, and resourceful. Having too much money can make you complacent. You might try to solve problems by throwing money at them instead of through clever, scrappy innovation. Financial constraints breed creativity. Necessity, as they say, is the mother of invention. So if you don't have money, you must focus on a business that doesn't need much to start. You must get paying customers fast. And this forces a discipline that many well-funded startups lack. Next, I is for intelligence and insight. This isn't just about IQ or being book smart. The authors break it down into a few key areas. There are book smarts, the kind of theoretical knowledge you get from school. The founders of the payments companies Stripe, Patrick, and John Collison, are a perfect example. They were child prodigies in programming, aced all their exams, and got into Harvard and MIT. Their incredible intelligence was their core advantage. But then there's street smarts, what the authors call people skills, social and emotional intelligence. This is the ability to read people, to negotiate, to build relationships, and to detect when someone is trying to take advantage of you. The book tells the tragic story of Nikola Tesla, one of the most brilliant inventors in history, who died almost penniless because he lacked the street smarts to navigate the business world. He was repeatedly taken advantage of by people like Thomas Edison. His story is a powerful reminder that in business, people skills can be more important than raw genius. And then there's creative intelligence. This is the ability to connect dots from different fields. Steve Jobs famously took a calligraphy class in college. It seemed useless at the time, but he later applied those principles of beautiful typography to the first Macintosh computer, giving Apple a huge design advantage over its rivals. But the most important part of this pillar is insight. Insight is seeing a problem that others have missed. It's finding a gap in the market. And the best way to get insight is to talk to customers, or even better, to be the customer yourself. This is called scratching your own itch. Tristan Walker, who we met earlier, is a perfect example. He grew up in the projects in Queens and worked his way to Stanford and Silicon Valley. He wanted to start a big company, but his breakthrough idea came from a personal frustration. As an African American man, he struggled with razor burn from standard multi-blade razors. He realized that an entire demographic of people with coarse, curly hair was being ignored by the major shaving companies. That was his unique insight. He was the target customer. That insight led to his company, Walker & Co., which was eventually acquired by Procter & Gamble for millions. His disadvantage, being an outsider in Silicon Valley, gave him an insight no one else had. L is for location and luck. This pillar is all about being in the right place at the right time. Location is incredibly powerful. Think about Silicon Valley. Why are so many tech giants, Google, Apple, Facebook, located in one small geographic area? It's a phenomenon called clustering. Being there gives you access to talent from universities like Stanford, access to investors on Sand Hill Road, and something called knowledge spillover, where ideas spread informally between companies. Ash Ali had to move from Birmingham to London to get his big break at Just Eat. Location puts you in the path of opportunity. But location can also be strategic in other ways. Huda Kattan, the Iraqi-American founder of the billion-dollar Huda Beauty Cosmetics empire, started her career as a makeup artist in Los Angeles. But her key move was relocating to Dubai. She realized her Middle Eastern look and makeup style would have a much bigger impact in that market. She moved to where her audience was, and her brand exploded. Then there's luck. The authors are clear, luck is a massive factor in success. But they also believe you can increase your luck. Psychologist drive. Richard Wiseman studied lucky and unlucky people and found that lucky people share 4 principles. 1. They maximize chance opportunities. They are more open, observant, and willing to talk to new people. 2. They trust their intuition. They listen to their gut feelings. 3. They expect good fortune. Their positive expectations become a self-fulfilling prophecy. 4. They turn bad luck into good. They see setbacks as learning opportunities. The authors add a 5th principle: take more action. The more you do, the more you show up, the more you put out into the world, the more chances you give luck to find you. It's like rolling a pair of dice. If you only roll once, your chances of getting a double 6 are low. But if you can roll as many times as you want, you're eventually going to get it. And of course, there is timing. Research has shown that timing is the single biggest factor in a startup's success, more important than the idea, the team, or the funding. You can be too early, like the first cloud storage startups that failed because internet connections were too slow. Or you can be too late, entering a market that's already saturated. The sweet spot is a small but growing market, riding a new technological or societal wave. Just Eat was perfectly timed with the rise of smartphones. Snapchat was perfectly timed with the rise of the selfie generation. E is for education and expertise. This isn't just about a university degree, though the authors acknowledge that an elite education from a place like Stanford or Harvard provides powerful advantages in knowledge, network, and signaling. It's a status booster. The founders of Google, Larry Page, and Sergey Brin, would never have created their search engine if they hadn't been computer science PhD students at Stanford. Their deep technical education was their unfair advantage. But education doesn't stop at school. The other side of this coin is expertise, which is self-taught. It's what you learn by doing. Ash Ali developed his expertise not in a classroom, but in his attic, building a real website. This is often the most powerful form of knowledge because it's tested in the real world. You can develop expertise by reading books, taking online courses, finding mentors, but most importantly, by practicing. If you don't have money, developing a valuable expertise can be your ticket to freedom. It's a way to create your own unfair advantage from scratch. And finally, S is for status. Status is your personal brand. It's how others see you. It includes your social standing, your network, your appearance, and your perceived credibility. Outer status is about things like your job title, the company you work for, or the university you attended. It's why news articles always say ex-Googler starts new company. It's a shorthand for credibility. But it also includes things we can't control, like our age, gender, race, and accent. The book is brutally honest about this. The world is full of unconscious bias. A young, white, male Harvard dropout is more likely to get funding than others. That is a reality. But again, this is a double-edged sword. Being an outsider can be a powerful advantage. It can give you the unique insight we talked about earlier. Sarah Blakely, the billionaire founder of Spanx, is a fantastic example. She was a woman trying to break into the male-dominated manufacturing and venture capital worlds. She was rejected over and over again. But her status as a woman was also her greatest strength. She had an insight that no man could have. She hated the way pantyhose looked and felt, but she liked the control top. One day, she cut the feet off a pair of pantyhose to wear under white pants, and the idea for Spanx was born. She solved a problem that she, as a woman, personally experienced. Her outsider status gave her a billion-dollar insight. Then there is inner status. This is your self-esteem, your confidence. How you see yourself powerfully affects how others see you. If you walk into a room believing you belong there, people will feel it. This is where you have to battle imposter syndrome, that feeling that you're a fraud and you're going to be found out. The book reminds us that almost everyone feels this, even the most successful people. The key is to push through it. Kylie Jenner's story is a fascinating case study in status. She was born with immense inherited status, fame, money, and a massive platform from her family's reality TV show. But her billion-dollar company, Kylie Cosmetics, was also born from a personal insecurity, her thin lips. This insecurity was something her millions of young fans could relate to. She turned her inherited status and a personal vulnerability into a business empire by creating a product that directly addressed an insecurity shared by her audience. So that's the Miles framework. Money, intelligence, and insight, location and luck, education and expertise, and status, all built on a foundation of a reality growth mindset. You don't need all of them. In fact, no one has them all. The key is to audit yourself. Understand which ones you have, and which ones you need. Then, you can partner with people who have the advantages you lack. If you're the visionary with the insight, find a technical co-founder with the expertise. If you're great at building the product but not at selling, find a partner with the street smarts and the network. A great founding team is a blend of complementary unfair advantages. The book then gives a quick start guide to building your business, but the core principles are simple. First, know your why. What motivates you? Is it to escape pain, or to gain a reward? Make sure you define success on your own terms, not by society's flashy symbols. Next, decide on the type of startup. Is it a lifestyle business, designed to give you a good income and freedom, like Hasan's agency? Or is it a hypergrowth startup, designed to scale massively and change an industry, like Just Eat? Your unfair advantages will help you decide. If you don't have a lot of money or connections, a lifestyle business is a much safer and more realistic path. Then, find your idea. But remember, ideas are overrated. It's about execution. Start with a problem, not a solution. The best ideas come from finding a pain point, an inconvenience, something that annoys people. Build a minimum viable product MVP. This is the simplest, most basic version of your product that solves the core problem. If you're not a little embarrassed by your first version, you've launched too late. The goal is to get it into the hands of real customers as fast as possible so you can get feedback and iterate. And finally, get your first customers through growth scrapping. This is the unglamorous manual work of finding your first customers one by one. Do things that don't scale. Send personalized emails. Meet people face to face. Give amazing customer service. This is how you build a foundation. Only after you've proven that people love your product should you think about growth hacking and scaling up. The journey of entrepreneurship is a hard one. It's full of uncertainty and risk. But by understanding the reality of the world, and by honestly assessing your own unique set of unfair advantages, you stack the deck in your favor. You stop playing a game that's rigged against you, and you start playing your own game, by your own rules. Commentary. When you finish a book like The Unfair Advantage, it's easy to feel one of two things: either discouraged by the randomness of life, or incredibly empowered. I believe the true lesson of this book is the latter. Its greatest gift isn't a set of business tactics, it's a profound call for self-awareness. For so long, we've been fed this simple, almost childlike story that if you just work hard, everything will be okay. And when it's not, we blame ourselves. We think we weren't disciplined enough, smart enough, or resilient enough. This book gives us permission to let go of that guilt. It tells us that the system is complex, that luck is real, and that the circumstances of our birth, the ovarian lottery, as Warren Buffett calls it, play a huge role. But it doesn't leave us there, in a state of passive acceptance. Instead, it hands us a map and a compass. The Miles framework is that map. It forces you to stop looking at what others have and to start taking inventory of your own life. What are your assets? Maybe you don't have money, but you have a unique insight because of the community you grew up in. Maybe you don't have a fancy education, but you have street smarts and the ability to connect with anyone. Maybe you feel like an outsider, but that outsider status gives you a perspective that no one else has. This is a radical shift in thinking. It moves you from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. You realize you're not starting from zero. You're starting with a unique combination of advantages that no one else on earth possesses. Your job is simply to identify them, own them, and build upon them. So, how can you start applying this today? I want to give you 3 simple actions. First, conduct your own Miles audit. Right now, take a piece of paper and write down the letters M, I, L, E, S. Under each one, honestly list what you have. For money, it might be just a few $100s in savings, or the ability to live at home rent-free. For insight, it might be a frustration you have with a product you use every day. For status, it might be that you're part of a specific subculture, gamers, artists, athletes, that gives you credibility in that world. Don't judge what you write down. Just get it on paper. This is your starting point. Second, identify your biggest double-edged sword. What is the one thing you've always considered a disadvantage? Maybe you're an introvert. Maybe you come from a small town. Maybe you didn't go to a top university. Now, I want you to ask yourself, how could this be a strength? How could your introversion make you a better listener and a more thoughtful product builder? How could your small-town background give you an insight into an underserved market? Reframe your perceived weakness as a potential unfair advantage. And third, take one small action that increases your luck. Remember, luck isn't just passive. You can create it. Send an email to one person you admire, not asking for anything, but offering to help them with something small. Go to one local meetup or online event in a field you're curious about. Share one idea you have on social media. Action creates serendipity. It puts you in the path of opportunity. The Unfair Advantage is more than a business book. It's a manual for navigating an unfair world with grace, strategy, and self-belief. It teaches you that the most powerful starting point is not a brilliant idea or a pile of cash, but a deep and honest understanding of yourself. That was a summary of The Unfair Advantage by Ashley and Hasan Kubba. We've journeyed through the core ideas today, but a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. It shows you the layout, the key cities, and the major roads, but it can never replace the feeling of actually walking those streets, smelling the air, and meeting the people. The real magic of this book is in the stories and the subtle shifts in perspective that happen when you read it for yourself. This summary is your map, designed to help you decide if this is a journey you want to take. If anything we've talked about today sparked something in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just an act of learning, it's an experience that can fundamentally change how you see your own potential. Also, if you found this summary valuable and it gave you a new way to think, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. It tells us we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's keep learning and growing together.